This episode is brought to you by Farmers Insurance.
India pushes back against greenhouse gas emission rules, branding them neo-colonialist and calling the current credit ranking system biased and a failure.
Everything was said under the orders of Osechkin. In my interview, more than 90% is a lie.
A former Wagner Group fighter claims he was blackmailed by a human rights group to lie about the Russian military. And reports of explosions and gunfire continue to come from Sudan, despite a recently agreed ceasefire between two military generals that was set to begin an hour ago. Coming to you live.
This is our turf. Echo, power on and on.
For 25 years, Consumer Cellular's goal has been to provide wireless service that helps people communicate and connect. We offer a variety of no-contract plans, and our U.S.-based customer service team can help find one that fits you. To learn more, visit consumercellular.tv.
Some things just make you feel more alive than others. Like the rush of adrenaline from an SUV that roars from 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds. Jaguar delivers that thrill every day. The F-Pace, how Jaguar makes an SUV.
Will Turkey ratify Sweden's NATO membership? Stockholm says it can't fulfill all Ankara's demands. As the bloc's membership requires unanimous approval, what would make Turkey change its mind? And what does all of this mean for NATO's future? This is Inside Story. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Mohammed Jamjoom. One of the many fallouts of Russia's invasion of Ukraine has been that previously neutral Nordic countries
That's volume at 14. Let's get some volume.
Setting off here in the 2023 Integra. So the first thing you notice about this, well, you have a really nice slow. Probably hear the little sound that's emitted under 25 miles per hour. That's a federally mandated thing for all electric vehicles. But this has a very cool futuristic little sound whenever it's whirring around. Other things to notice about the GV60, obviously being an electric vehicle, you have all those key characteristics of the instant power, the instant response. There's no shifting, there's no waiting around for an engine or anything. It's immediate power, full torque from the second you put your foot down. And so, great that you have that very responsive feeling. I also think that the visibility here is pretty good in the GV60. You have pretty thin A-pillars. You are sitting up higher than you might be expecting again as well to further reinforce that crossover vibe here that you do get with this. And so that's pretty cool because it means you have a really good view forward. The hood drops down really nicely. And the view out of the back is the most interesting part of the visibility because as you can see, you also have a ton of cameras. You have a forward-facing camera, backup camera, of course. You also have side cameras for a full 360 view. And even when you turn on your... So we're going to hit that here and see how it does. Turning on to this back road. Boost, ready. Here we go. Whoa, it's actually chirping the tires. Ooh, man, oh man. Wow, that was fast. Wow. Man. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Man. Woo, this thing flies. Wow, so here in the GV60 Performance, you have more performance than even the Ioniq 5 and the EV6 offer you. So with that overboost mode, you have 483 horsepower, 516 pound-feet of torque. And the 0 to 60 in that boost mode is 3.7 seconds. Yes, this thing has supercar acceleration, and it's a 12.2 second quarter mile time at like 112 miles per hour for the trap speed. I mean, it is properly fast. Now, after that 10-second burst, you'll have about 429 horsepower and 446 pound-feet of torque normally, which is still even way more power than what you get in the Ioniq 5 and the EV6. Now, that's for only this performance version. If you go for the lower advanced trim, you'll have, I believe it's like 314 horsepower in that, and then you'll have the same 446 pound-feet of torque. So same torque, should feel pretty similar around town. It's just whenever you put your foot into it where you get the extra power here of the advanced version. But we'll do another quick little acceleration, not in boost mode, just to do a little bit of scientific comparison. Still very impressive. You know, it just doesn't, it's not quite as frantic. But wow, it's so cool you have a boost mode too that's steering wheel mounted. It's like hitting the NOS button here, and it's so cool that you have that. And also, I love the sounds. There's a bunch of different sounds. We'll try out a few of the others here in a couple of minutes, but there's a bunch of sounds you can have. This is the futuristic one I'm using currently. There's a couple of others. There's also an option to turn them off if you don't like the sound thing. And so there's even a mode you can custom blend your own sound as far as how it responds to the pedal, and also what it sounds like and how it blends all the different sounds. Super cool to give you so much customization. But anyway, we're coming up some corners here. Let's see how the GV60 handles. So they have 255 wide tires on these 21-inch wheels, but they're only Primacy all-season tires. So you know, I was kind of mid-corner and gave it a little bit of gas, which obviously is going to provoke understeer. But, you know, otherwise, so, you know, it still has some lean to it. I think it's still set up, you know, this isn't like the sport version. I'm hoping they do a sport version using the mechanicals from the Ioniq 5 and the Kia EV6 GT. But, I mean, it's really nice and flat, though, otherwise, and, you know, I had no problem, you know, going around those corners. And it doesn't feel too heavy either, considering this thing weighs 4,862 pounds, according to Car and Driver. So, you know, pretty weighty, but you do have an electronic limited slip differential in the rear there, and it's a rear bias setup, and so that should help you to have, you know, yeah, it does have a little bit more of a neutral feeling to it. It's just that, again, these tires immediately get overwhelmed with this much weight and this kind of performance and power that it just, you know, you find the limits very early on in this thing. So that's just one thing you're gonna have to, you know, be cognizant of, and you're gonna have to, you know, drive this with that, you know, I guess preparedness and caution, knowing that, you know, the tires are a limiting factor. But I would love to try one of these things out with some proper summer performance tires on it, which, by the way, is not an option, unfortunately. I really wish it was, but man, oh man, this thing on some good tires, I'd be very curious to see just how well it does. But jeez, this it flies. It is very, very impressive. Right up there, you know, just as impressive as any other very fast electric vehicle. You know, Tesla Model 3 performance. You know, I reviewed one of those several years ago. Just every bit as, you know, impressive as that. Now, I think that might handle a little bit better than this. It's been many years since I drove that, admittedly. But obviously, the higher crossover position here is going to, you know, make this a little less athletic. But it still feels great. Steering also has a little bit of a nice weightedness to it in sport mode here, and I mean, it all feels very, you know, flat and capable with those adaptive dampers, especially. I think that really helps out to make this feel a good bit better. And yeah, I'm just really enjoying the way this thing drives. But I love it. Also, the way it's tuned, even in the sport mode, it really ramps up power nice and fast. Oh, it's addictive. I just want to, like, floor this thing everywhere I go. Oh, it's so much fun. Another thing that's also very fast is the recharge time. So moving on from the acceleration to how this battery, it's a 77.4 kilowatt hour battery pack, and it can do it recharge from 10% to 80% in just 18 minutes, which is right up there with the best EVs here in the year 2022. I mean, that is super fast. Like a Porsche Taycan does those types of recharging times. It'll be way faster than like a Mach-E GT or you know, like the Volvo XC40 Recharge. Even the BMW i4, M40, M50i, that thing still isn't going to be able to charge as fast as this does. So I mean, it's really got this 800-volt architecture, which really gives it a leg up over a lot of the competitors. And it's just very, very cool that, you know, you don't have to stop for very long to charge this thing. And the battery tech is just top notch. And that's one of the key things about this that really puts it over, and this whole platform, Ioniq 5 and EV6 as well, that really puts it over those competitors, just because you have half the recharge time of a Mach-E GT, basically. Boost ready? Here we go. I love the wheel spin. That makes it even more fast. But man, Woo, yeah, you feel like you are on, you know, roller coaster, a modern roller coaster ride, you know, where it just launches you. It's like, you know, Space Mountain or something with just the power. It's probably even faster than that, honestly, but it's just like, it's crazy how it just feels so impressive, and it's so much that it overwhelms those tires. And I also think it would feel even faster if you had, again, those summer tires that grip better and not give you that wheel spin. Even though I love the wheel spin and it's fun, without that, it would probably rip your head off even more. So crazy. But anyway, let's listen to these sounds here. This is G-Engine. Pretty cool. I like that. E-Motors, the next one we'll try here. Oh, and sorry about my camera gear flying around back here making a bunch of noise, but that sounds pretty cool as well. And then go back to the futuristic sound again. Try that out. Sounds super cool. Honestly, I think it's my favorite because, you know, the whole thing with EVs is you're supposed to be driving something futuristic. And so I think that, you know, having a futuristic soundtrack to that really fits. And you can also, by the way, change how much volume you have for each of those modes as well. So if you want to, you know, knock it down and have it not be so intense with these sounds, you can still have some of the sound, but just a little bit less of it too. So I love Genesis is one of the best with letting you customize every single little setting. Has a million different customizations to it, and it's one of these vehicles where I think you really enjoy it more than even the average vehicle, just because you can get everything exactly the way you like it and change things you never thought could be changed in another vehicle in the past. It's just crazy how much stuff they let you change in this vehicle. Other things though to mention, brakes. Another thing very important when you're talking about a vehicle this fast. So you have nice large brakes, and they have good response to them. Now, they're not super grabby, you know, so it's nice, I think, because it means you have a nice, easy ramp up, so, you know, it's easy to be smooth with them. But, oh, yeah, this thing, it really is crying out for better tires. You would think the performance version would maybe have even, like, you know, do the Pilot Sport all-season tire or something. It doesn't have to be a summer tire, but even the Sport all-season would be a lot better than this Primacy Touring all-season, I think. I'm not sure why they chose this tire, because the all-season Pilot Sport is a fantastic tire. It still has great capabilities in all weather. But anyway, you know, it still handles really well. Overall, though, I'm just really impressed with the way this thing drives. And we're also on this road that generates a lot of road noise, and you hear basically none of it. All you're hearing is this sound that I have turned on, and then the air conditioning blower going. That's it. It is so quiet in here. And that'll really provide a great soundstage for this Bang & Olufsen 17-speaker stereo, which I'm excited to try out here during my week with the Genesis. And now we're about to hit some potholes here. And soaks it up really well for 21-inch wheels, too. I mean, it's really, I think, doing a great job soaking up these bumps. And part of that's probably the tires, which also help a little bit here, you know, not being super sporty tires. But yeah, no, I think it, you know, is doing really nice. Gives you a very luxury appropriate ride, and yeah, I think that it, you know, just allows the vehicle to still continue to feel very comfortable, even if the road isn't super smooth. So I've turned down these sound design things so that it's not quite as loud here while I'm talking. But one other thing I do want to mention here is that you do have these regeneration mode paddles. So they look like paddle shifters, but here in the Genesis GV60, like how in the iX5, you have the same feature where you have these paddles so you can actually amp up the regeneration for the braking, so that if you want to have basically one pedal driving, it has that, you know, one pedal mode. But you also, if you want to have a blend or you want to, you know, change it up on the fly, you can change it. So if you're going down a big hill, crank it up. Otherwise, you know, let it coast around or whatever it is you want to do. You can do it with just changing these paddles immediately. And again, more customization, and something that, you know, Mach-E's, for example, don't give you. Even in the GTs, you don't have any kind of way to change the regenerative braking. It's just one pedal in that vehicle or nothing. I love having the paddle shifters. It's a really nice sporty touch, especially for, you know, EV enthusiasts and people who are driving enthusiasts that like playing around with that kind of stuff. It's great that they have that here. And again, it's something you can completely ignore and never touch if you don't want to. You can still allow this to coast just like any other normal vehicle. But, you know, if you want to be able to play around with that, it's just really cool that it lets you. But to another acceleration down an on-ramp here, just the normal mode this time. And in normal mode, it definitely smooths out to power delivery. So if you want the most impressive power and you floor this in normal mode, you might be like, oh, that doesn't feel as fast as you made it seem. Put it in sport mode, and that's the way to make it feel punchier and more responsive to the gas. But then again, especially putting it in that boost mode really, makes this thing fly, and that's going to be the way you're going to get the most wow factor out of this vehicle. But now we're on the highway here in the GV60, and cruising here about 65 miles per hour. It's nice and quiet. A little bit of wind noise, a little bit of a windier day here, but nice and quiet. We got a car passing there. I think that's pretty good for this segment. And another thing, so I have the adaptive cruise control system on. It has the highway drive assist function, which is really advanced, and it has a lane keeping assist system. Now it is a hands-on system, so that is one area where it's a little bit behind some of the best competitors. So like Ford with the Mach-E has Blue Cruise, which is actually hands-free. Also Cadillac offers Super Cruise in the Lyriq that's now coming out. So there are a few others that are going to be doing a little bit of a better job, but compared to like the Teslas and stuff that also force you to have your hands on the wheel, this is doing a pretty good job so far. And they say it has a lane changing function, but so far it's not doing any kind of automated lane changes for me or anything, at least not like how a Super Cruise system will do them. But anyway, one thing it is doing very well though is going around corners. So previously with other Hyundais, Genesis, and Kias with this highway drive assist function, it hasn't always been the best with reliably doing steering assistance, but so far here in this, it's doing a pretty good job here. So I'm kind of just hovering my hand on the wheel here. It's telling me to keep my hands on the wheel, but I'm just giving it a little bit of extra torque. But it's doing a better job here than I've experienced in the past highway drive assist vehicles. In addition to the highway drive assist technology, you do have all the other normal safety tech as well. So you have blind spot monitoring, automatic emergency braking, rear cross traffic alert, all those types of things. Like I said, the camera.
That's volume at 14. Let's get some volume.
Alright, so setting off here in the 2023 Integra. So the first thing you notice about this, well, you have a really nice low ceiling. Like I said, you are sitting up higher thanks to that 2-inch lift here on the Rubicon 392. So you have a higher seating position. Of course, you have excellent visibility here in these Wranglers, like always. So it's a very airy, open, high experience. It gives you a very fun and unique driving experience as well. But otherwise, the second you get on that gas, you start hearing that Hemi 392 V8 engine, and it is really the dominating factor of this whole experience. Because generally, like in other Wranglers, you've heard the engine for sure. It's not like they're quiet engines. But, it was always just kind of in the background, and it wasn't really the focal point of the Wrangler. Now, the V8 is the focal point, and it is a delightful thing to listen to. I really love how there's way less sound deadening in the Wrangler than there is in any other Mopar product that uses this engine. And so, you hear everything. You hear all the mechanical workings of the engine a little bit more in the Wrangler. You hear just way more exhaust too. And it is a little bit more. Turn out onto this back road here and see how it does. And here we go. Wow! Listen to that! Wow, that sounds fantastic! Holy crap! That sounds, oh man, they need to get this sound in the Challenger and the Charger. This is amazing! I was not expecting it to sound that good! Wow, okay. Man, this is fantastic. So, the regular 392 here runs, like I said, 6.4 liter heavy V8 engine. It has 470 horsepower, 470 pound-feet of torque as well. Jeep claims a 4.5 second 0 to 60 time, which I would say is accurate. It does definitely just shove you into the back of your seat, but it's not, it's not going to be as fast feeling as a 392 Challenger or Charger or something like that. Because again, you're on these massive tires, you're in a super heavy thing, doesn't have great aerodynamics, all those types of things. Again, not a sports vehicle, not, acceleration is not the focal point here in the Wranglers ever, but, it is nice that it is pretty quick, and, and it's hooked up to the ZF 8-speed automatic transmission. It's the 8HP 75 version of this transmission. But we'll go ahead and try out some manual shifts here just because we do have power shifters now, so I feel like I should test it out here. So first... Listen, crackles and pops! Man, I love how much you hear this thing. Man, this could arguably be one of the most fun vehicles with this engine. And I love the Challenger and the Charger. I'm not an off-road person, but man, I mean, it's like that exhaust is right over your shoulder there. It's like, it's hilarious. But anyway, the manual shifts and stuff are pretty quick. Oh man, it's not quite as fast as you get in some other SRT products I noticed, but it's pretty responsive, pretty fun to play with if you want to. We're coming up some corners here. I am not going to fly around corners in this thing because again, we have a 2-inch lift. We have this big heavy engine sitting up, fairly high in this thing, and again, we are in a Wrangler with mud tires, so I would be foolish to be pushing this thing at all, especially this much power. You can get yourself into trouble flinging this thing into a corner with how high up it is. But I've been going around corners here. It is handling itself surprisingly well. It certainly is better than the average run-of-the-mill Wrangler. Now, I do like how they added it to the unlimited version, so you have a little bit more stability with a longer wheelbase than what you get with the two-door version. Those can be a little bit interesting still if you go into a corner a little bit too quickly. The four-door versions here, it's a little more stable. I prefer the driving experience of the unlimiteds. I've talked about that in the past in my 2.0T Wrangler Unlimited review and even the Eco Diesel one that I drove. But this, it does handle itself fairly well. Again, like I said, the steering is pretty imprecise and stuff. No one really cares how this thing handles on road, but since most people that buy these are going to actually be driving these on road, I feel like it's worth mentioning how it handles and drives. Now, you also do have upgraded brakes from the Mojave and the 4xe version, so larger brakes to haul this vehicle down to a stop, because you do have about 650 pounds of extra weight here. The estimate here is about 5,100 pounds for the curb weight for one of these Wranglers versus about 4,450 for a Wrangler Rubicon Unlimited with the normal V6. So a lot of extra weight. Now, they did a lot more than just drop this engine in to make this version. So the engine, by the way, it doesn't just drop right in. They had to do a bunch of modifications. They had to move the alternator. They had to do a special exhaust setup so that it all fits snugly in there. And there's several other changes they made. It was not an easy swap over to put this engine in, but they made it work. And I appreciate, again, those Jeep engineers for being awesome and going to the trouble of doing that. But yeah, so in addition to that, though, it has upgraded frame rails. Of course, like I said, you have the higher lift. You have the Fox shocks. It has the Dana 44 axles front and back there, and a 2-speed transfer case still. But it does have full-time 4-wheel drive. So unlike others where you can sometimes have 2-wheel drive Wranglers, this is 4-wheel drive all the time. There's a 4 auto, and then there's a 4 high part-time mode. But then that off-road plus mode allows you to go in and lock the differentials even at high speeds, which is a cool little thing that you can have there. And so it's nice that they've included that. You also do have still have a 4-low mode that crawls. As far as that full-time 4-wheel drive system, so it defaults to about a 70% rear, 30 front bias, but it can go to full 50-52 if you wanted to. And since this is a Rubicon, you also have the disconnecting sway bars, the front and rear locking diffs and all that. But yeah, I'm gonna do another acceleration because it's just too much fun in this thing. It's addicting. Here we go. One of the things that adds to the fun of the V8 Wrangler is that you still have, they definitely, they retuned the suspension geometry, the shocks, the dampers, all that kind of stuff are all different and changed, but it still has that softer ride of a Wrangler, so that, unlike some of the other stuff, the sportier SRT products where it's, very flat and controlled, this, whenever you floor it, the whole nose lifts up and it goes all dramatic on you, and it's hilarious that if you, let off the gas and get onto the brakes, it really shifts around on you and moves around a lot. Way more involving, way more exciting, and a little more sketchy feeling than when you get with all the other SRT products, which again adds that excitement and that fun, even though it's not fast and sports car like. It's hilarious fun. And anyone who appreciates the Mercedes G-Wagon, especially the AMG version of those, this is kind of like that at half the price, and it's all the fun, if not even slightly, maybe even more fun than what you get with an AMG G-Wagon for $75,000 instead of $150 to $200 grand or whatever those things go for. And those are a lot of fun. I did already review an AMG G-Wagon. They are fantastic, but this is even more raw because it's a little bit smaller, a little bit less of a luxury experience like you get in the Mercedes. This is one of those vehicles you don't need to spend a lot of time with it to get a sense of what it's like and to get a sense of, you know, what this thing is about. And all it takes really is, you know, a few accelerations in this thing, and you have the full story here, and at least on road. You know, obviously the big piece of the puzzle here is off-road. They heavily, you know, improve the off-road handling. Like I said, it has the best approach and departure angles out of any Wrangler thanks to that additional lift. Of course, having the extra power as well is going to be fantastic to power you out of, you know, sand or mud or whatever you're in, and do it with a fantastic soundtrack, I might add. That's going to be where this thing really is going to feel, you know, like it's really coming alive. That's its element. Its element is not the streets here. Unfortunately, I just did not have time to go take it on off-road trails and stuff. I only was able to actually spend about 2 afternoons with this vehicle, unfortunately, due to circumstances outside of my control personally. So even though Jeep lent me this thing for an entire week, it was just sitting in my driveway begging for me to drive it. I could not drive it because I was not home. So I wish I had more time to have fun with this thing. But like I said, you get a good sense of what it's like just with a very first test drive. This is one of those cases, one of those vehicles where the engine makes up for any other shortcomings. Whenever you floor it and you hear that thing, all is forgiven. You don't care about anything else in the vehicle. It's just, you just put your foot down. Your day is instantly 10 times better, and that's the end of it. But also, since it's not the fastest thing out there, you know, it's not about straight line speed. It's not about beating people with stoplights or drag racing. It's just about having fun. And the Wrangler's always been about having fun. Now you have fun with a fantastic soundtrack with even more speed and hilarity. And as we just passed another Wrangler, another fun thing if you were to daily drive one of these is you get the Jeep Wave in that community, which is really an awesome thing that is pretty unique. I mean, there are some other, you know, car communities out there that are pretty tightly knit. I think the Jeep community is, especially the Wrangler community in particular, is very, very, seems like a really fun community, and so it's awesome that you get that kind of built in as well whenever you buy one of these. Even if you don't ever plan off-road one of these things, just having that raw experience and this adventure-ready type of vibe makes every mundane trip a little bit more fun and a little bit more of an adventure and an event to go out in a Wrangler, and particularly in a V8 Wrangler, it's an even more fun event. But that's just something that, again, you don't get in a lot of other vehicles, even a lot of other V8 powered vehicles. Like, for example, a G-Wagon. Like, it's not as much of an event to drive somewhere in a G-Wagon like it is in a Wrangler. And then again, with a V8 Wrangler, it all is just a lot more fun. Another thing that, like, even the G-Wagon can't match is this, you know, wide open air experience here, being able to, you know, pop the roof off or slide it back in the case of this one, taking the doors off, all that kind of stuff that you're not going to be able to do in anything else like that. So this is really a one-of-a-kind vehicle as far as giving you the V8 and giving you, you know, the amazing off-road capability in something like this. I mean, of course, you know, there is also the Ram TRX, which is also fantastic off-road. Even has a Hellcat-powered V8 engine and stuff, which is also fantastic fun in its own way. I just spent a week with one of those not too long ago. But this is, you know, a very different type of fun, and it still is just as much fun, just in a different way. You know, yeah, it'd be great if they put a Hellcat motor in this. I don't think it's going to fit, so I wouldn't hold your breath for a Hellcat motor in this or in the Gladiator.
Let's take it to the music.
But, you know, even if this V8 is as high as they go with these, it still is just awesome that it's been 40 years since you could get a V8 in a Wrangler. So to be able to finally get this engine in a Wrangler after all this time of people, you know, hoping and praying that they would ever have a V8 Wrangler again. Here we are, and it is fantastic. Oh man, I can listen to that all day. And this thing, for a brick, it really gets up to highway speeds very quickly. Oh man, I love this thing. Yes, I am now a fan of the Wrangler. Sign me up for a V8 Wrangler. I will gladly daily drive one of these things all day, every day. This thing is a riot. And out on the highway here in the Wrangler 392. Again, like I said, lots of road noise and wind noise. And also, you know, you're very susceptible to wind gusts in this vehicle because of its flat sides and, you know, the aerodynamics of this thing. So you are going to be fighting the wind a little bit in these vehicles. And so, you know, it's not a great highway driving experience. It's also not great on long trips because there's no dead pedal. So your left foot is just left to hang out somewhere, and it's not very comfortable on your ankle, at least in my experience. So it's not great. Now, they did make it a little bit better in these because the you know, Rubicon 392 versions here, you do have a lot of really good safety technology. So you have blind spot monitoring. This one also does have even adaptive cruise control, which is cool to have that here in a Ram. Wrangler as well. But I mean, as you can hear, there's a truck near me. They're super noisy. I mean, everything is noisy. I'm raising my voice a lot more than basically any other vehicle whenever I'm reviewing them on the highway here. So not great for that. But again, any Wrangler buyer already knows that kind of stuff. But just worth pointing out again, for someone new to the Wrangler, you know, you do hear a lot of stuff out here on the highway. But again, it also adds that experience. You know, it isn't just whisper quiet. You know, it's not like a library in here. You feel everything, you hear everything.
2023, if you look at last year's emissions report, you'll find that per capita emissions of India are still
Alright, so setting off here in the 2023 Integra. So the first thing you notice about this, well, you have a really nice low season, shall we? Here we go. Wow, wheel spin. Woo! Wow. Alright. Woo! This thing is punchier than I was expecting, honestly. So we have this revised 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo engine. There's 315 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque now, which is 9 more horsepower and 15 more pound-feet of torque than before. And man, oh man, this thing, it moves really well. And I mean, this is a little bit of a cooler day today, and we're on summer tires, but it's still 50 degrees, so it's not like these tires can't handle, you know, these temperatures. It really is just impressive that it lit up the tires. I'm also, by the way, just in the normal traction control modes, and it still gave me some wheel spin, which is great. I love that fun and that drama, and I'm glad that there's some wheel spin there. But of course, with the mechanical limited slip diff you have in these, you know, it still was very even with the way it was putting the power down there. I also have the engine sound in the R mode, so I have it in the loudest setting. I'm in the individual mode, which is new here for the Type Rs for 2023. And so it allows you to customize all the different parameters there to make it exactly how you want it. And we're coming up to some back roads here, and I have the suspension, the adaptive suspension in its sport mode. It goes up to R for a stiffer setting, or comfort if you want it a little bit looser. But wow. Okay, so really love, they did change the steering to improve the feel and all that. But one thing that I mean, Honda's always had great steering, especially the previous generation Type R, but this, you really can feel the mechanical LSD working. I mean, you can see there's a little bit of wet, you know, damp patches here on this road since it rained yesterday, but it really is impressive how you can feel the limited slip diff really clawing away at the pavement here, especially considering this also has wider tires, which I think is one of the biggest handling improvements here on this vehicle for this year, is the fact that you have 265 wide Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires here on this. It's 20 millimeters wider than before, so I mean, a big tire upgrade going up 20 is a big deal. You usually don't see that on other cars, and so but yeah, a little bit of dampness there, and it was spinning in third gear at, you know, 3,500 RPMs here. So man, this thing, I love how it really sucks you into the corner there. You kind of, you know, get on the gas early coming out of the corner, and the diff just does all the work for you and pulls you through way better than it should. And it is really impressive. Wow. You know, I really like the previous gen Type R, but this honestly is just impressing me more than I was expecting just off the bat here. So yeah, and also they managed to keep the weight fairly low. So I think it's about 67 pounds or so heavier than before, but we're still under 3,200 pounds. It's 3,188 for the curb weight here in these new Type Rs. And so that also really contributes to this very light-feeling vehicle, and the fact that they also spread out the weight a little bit more. So the wheelbase is 1.4 inches longer than before on this new 11th generation of the Civic, and so that helps you for sure. Rev matching downshifts are great, and man, yeah, the way this thing just grips and goes though is impressive. Man, oh man. Yeah, and this road obviously is fantastic, so that certainly helps to really highlight, you know, this car's strengths. Is, you know, this kind of stuff is what this car was built for. But yeah, so I mean, really impressive, you know, as far as the wheelbase goes being longer. That's going to give you a more stable and planted ride. Also, the track is wider. It's 1 inch wider in the front and 0.75 inch wider in the rear. All right, a little bit of wheel spin coming out of the corner there. Man, this thing is ruthless coming out of these corners. It is impressive. Wow. And also the Sport adaptive dampers setting here is really nice as well. It's a Goldilocks where, you have a little bit of stiffness. It feels appropriate, but it's not, rattling your fillings out of your teeth or anything, with this, with the R mode, could be a little stiff, and I'll try that out in a few minutes here. But as of right now, I love the Sport mode here. And, Honda does some of the best adaptive damper tuning. I was so blown away, especially with the refresh of last generation's Civic Type R, where that was really amazing how it went from being a magic carpet ride in comfort mode to being like race car stiff in R mode. And I'll be curious to see, how they've changed that here in this. I'll get to that in a second. But just from a grip standpoint, having the wider track, the wider tires, the more spread out wheelbase, all that is going to make this feel a good and better handling wise. And again, it's not like the previous generation Type R was a bad handler by any means. It was amazing in every way, but this certainly, I think, moves the ball forward in a significant way, and feels so good. But man, I love this. This is so much fun. I'm having a blast here. Oh yeah, the grip is, holy crap, it's good. And the Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tire also is a fantastic tire, just in general, and so I'm so glad they were able to go for those here on the Type R. If you do want even more grip, you can get Sport Cup 2 tires installed at your dealer. It's not a factory option, but as a dealer option, you can have them put on. And they actually did develop a specific Cup 2 tire for this car. So it's a specific one. It's not just an off-the-rack Cup 2. It's designed and engineered for this car if you do want to have, the absolute best grip possible. Brakes are also great. We just had a little spot there where I had to quickly slow down, and they're 13.3 or 13.8 inch rotors in the front, 12 inch rotors in the rear. You got 4 piston front calipers there, Brembos, that are really, really great as far as the grip goes. And okay, so now we got a bumpier bit of road here, and definitely bouncing us around a little bit, but it still is putting the power down so well though. It's hilarious how good this thing is tearing up this back road. Man, oh man. I'm having a blast here. And it's really, really impressive. I gotta say, obviously the only real competitor that has, all-wheel drive and this much power is the GR Corolla. I have not driven that on normal roads, so I can't say from a street standpoint how that compares, but from driving the GR Corolla, I did drive it around like a little street course they had at the track, and taking the GR Corolla around the track. I gotta say that I think I like this a little bit better. This feels a little less peaky. This thing has like more punch all throughout the power band versus the GR Corolla. You had to work the engine a little bit more, which is fun in its own way. But I think that this certainly feels, it's 15 more horsepower, not like that's a huge difference, but I certainly feel like this feels punchier than the GR Corolla does. And yes, it'd be nice to have all-wheel drive here in this to put the power down perfectly. And the rear-wheel drive kind of thing you can do a little bit of in the GR Corolla is fun, but I also really love the front-wheel drive drama and the wheel spin and just the traditional hot hatch kind of setup here with the front-wheel drive Type R. So it's going to come down to personal preference and what you need, but I gotta say that so far this is making a very, very solid first impression, and man, this thing is phenomenal to drive. I also do like the sound is a little bit better. They did say this new exhaust design allows them to have a little bit more of a straight-through design to it. So they say whenever you're up in the higher RPMs, it does open up. There's an active valve now on that the middle exhaust tip there, and so that active exhaust does give you about 13% more airflow, and so that's nice. Now, I still wish it was a little bit louder, but oh man, I even got a little bit of oversteer there just because I was really pitching it in. But this thing is playful. I love how playful this is, and this road also is certainly helping because it's a little slick and insane with these corners here. Woo! We have first gear. Alright, so I was getting a little bit of a torque steer, a tiny bit there, but that was a very challenging circumstance, and it still spotted really well. And, but man, this thing is so much fun. I'm so impressed with the way they set everything up. So it does handle so well, and it gives you so much confidence, but it still gives you a little bit of a playful character and something you do have to kind of manage a little bit, at least again on these.
It is a 2022 computer-animated fantasy comedy film directed by Peggy Holmes, co-directed by Javier Abad, and written by Keel Murray, who co-wrote the story with Jonathan Abel and Glenn Berger, based on an original concept created by Rebecca Carrasco, Juan de Dios and Julian Romero. 2022 to 2022, there is the word luck in green text, and under it, there is a green curved line. Here is a part of a trailer. Okay, now I'm gonna talk about Storyfire. It is an app created by the McJuggernuggets YouTuber and Brian Spitz, features mostly a series My Virtual Escape. 2017 to the present, there is a red and orange fire flame, and under it, there is the word Storyfire in black text. Here is an intro. Alright, now I'm gonna talk about DLive. It is an American video live streaming service which was founded in 2017. It was purchased by BitTorrent in 2019. Due to the site's lax enforcement of prohibited content guidelines, DLive has become a popular alternative to YouTube and Twitch among white nationalists, conspiracy theorists, and other extremists. 2017 to the present, there is a yellow circle, and inside it, there is a black icon of a ninja's face, and on the right of the circle, there is the word DLive in black text, except the dot is yellow. Okay, now I'm gonna talk about Omelette Arcade. It is an American live streaming and online community platform for mobile game streamers and esports. Based in Mountain View, California, Omelette Arcade has been in operation since 2014 and is the brainchild of Stanford University computer science professor Monica Lamb and PhD candidates Ben Dodson, Ian Vo, and TJ Purell. 2014 to the present, there is a red square, and inside it, there is a white video game controller with a red D-pad and a yellow joystick. Here is a commercial. Alright, now I'm gonna talk about FIFA World Cup. Before talking about it, I just want to say that sadly I won't be showing any intros for this logo, since FIFA is really aggressive and doesn't let me show even a short 3-second clip of an intro. It is an international association football competition contested by the senior men's national teams of the members of the Fédération Internationale de Football Association, the sport's global governing body. The tournament has been held every 4 years since the inaugural tournament in 1930, except in 1942 and 1946, when it was not held because of the Second World War. 1999 to 2006, there are the words FIFA World and Cup in blue text. 2006 to the present, the font has changed, and the text is darker. Here is the icon, a variant. Okay, now I'm gonna talk about Fur Affinity. It is online community website for furries. 2005 to 2019, there is a yellow shape representing a tail, and on it, there is a letter in white text. 2019 to 2021, there is a drawing of a wolf furry, and on the right of it, there are the blue letters F and A on a black outline. 2021 to the present, there is a yellow splash, and on it there is a white paw. Here is the Ukraine version and the rainbow version. Alright, now I'm gonna talk about UEFA Europa League. It is an annual football club competition organized since 1971 by the Union of European Football Associations for eligible European football clubs. It is the second-tier competition of European club football, ranking below the UEFA Champions League and above the UEFA Europa Conference League. The UEFA Cup was the third-tier competition from 1971 to 1999, before the UEFA Cup Winners' Cup was discontinued, and it is still often referred to as the C3 in reference of this. 1997 to 2005, here we have the logo of the first UEFA Europa League's name, UEFA Cup. There is a yellow circle on a green outline, and on it there are 3 green silhouettes, and between them there is a green circle, and under the circle, there are 2 black curved lines, and between them there is the word UEFA in black text, and under the lines, there are the words UEFA and Cup in black text. Here is an intro. 2005 to 2009, there is a blue, purple and green gradient trophy, and on it there are 3 white silhouettes, and between them there are 2 white balls, and under the trophy, there are 2 black curved lines, and between them there is the word UEFA in black text, and under the lines, there is the word cup in green text. Here is an intro. 2009 to 2012, they changed its name to UEFA Europa League. There is a yellow circle and on it there are 4 red shapes representing a trophy, and under the circle, there are 2 red curved lines, and between them there is the word UEFA in red text, and under the lines, there are the words Europa and League in red text. Here is an intro. (2012 to 2015), the shapes and the text are now 3D. Here is an intro. 2015 to 2021, there is a yellow ring, and inside it there are 4 shapes, 2 gray and 2 black representing a trophy, and under the ring, there are 2 black curved lines, and between them there is the word UEFA in black text, and under the lines, there are the words Europa and League in black text. Here is an intro. 2021 to the present, there is an orange ring, and inside it there are 4 dark gray shapes representing a trophy, and under the ring, there are 2 dark gray curved lines, and between them there is the word UEFA in dark gray text, and under the lines, there are the words Europa and League in dark gray text. Here is an intro. Okay, now I'm gonna talk about Televisa. It is a Mexican multimedia mass media company. A major Latin American mass media corporation, it often presents itself as the largest producer of Spanish-language content. In April 2021, Televisa and Univision Communications announced that they had proposed a merger between Televisa's media and entertainment assets with Univision, which would form a new company to be known as Televisa Univision. 1955 to 1973, here we have the logo of the first Televisa's name, Telesistema Mexicano. There are the letters TS and M in black text. Here is an intro. 1968 to 1973, here we have the logo of the second Televisa's name, Televisión Independiente de Mexico. There are the letters T and M in black text connected together, and in the middle of them, there is a white circle on a black outline. 1973 to 1980, they changed its name to Televisa. There is a dark yellow oval shape made out of lines, and in the middle of it there is a white circle, and under the dark yellow oval shape, there is the word Televisa in gray text, except the letters T and V are connected. Here is the print version and an intro.
Televisa, a través de su canal 8, presenta
1981 to 1990, there is an orange oval shape made out of lines, and in the middle of it, there is a yellow circle. Here is a variant and an intro.
Televisa presenta su programa.
1990 to 2000, now under the oval shape there is the word Televisa in black text. Here is the version with the slogan, a variant and an intro.
Televisa presenta.
1998 to 2000, now on top of the lines there is a yellow sphere. 2001 to 2016, there are 8 orange lines representing an oval shape, and on it there is a yellow sphere, and under the oval shape, there is the word Televisa in blue text. Here is a variant and an intro.
Televisa presenta.
2016 to the present, the oval shape is now blue, and the sphere is now a white circle. Here is the print version, the orange version and an intro.
Televisa presenta.
It's one of the most famous cars in the world and one of the coolest, the 1964 Aston Martin DB5, issued to 007, James Bond, of course. Made famous in such movies as Goldfinger, this car is full of surprises. This particular version is sadly not the real thing. I'd love to have that. Hey, who would win in a battle of Kit from Knight Rider versus this? We'll get to that later. Anyway, this is the 1/24th scale model from the Denbury Mint, which just sounds important. It was sent to the show by our good friend Dean from California, and sadly in transit it was attacked by bad guys who shot off the front right mirror. But that's okay, James Bond doesn't use that mirror anyway. As you can see, this car has a lot of details, including all of the cool gadgets installed on this particular Aston Martin DB5 for James Bond. Like machine guns, an ejector seat, bulletproof rear shield, and rotating license plates. The license plate is a little bit hard to rotate, so I'll have to talk to Q about that afterwards. Now, one thing that's really impressive about this car is the paint job. They just nailed the color perfectly. Also, check out the shag carpet on the inside, as well as the ridiculous amount of detail that they put into the interior of this car. I have the roof off, so you can eject somebody out of that ejector seat and then back over them while machine gunning them. This is a very well-crafted, intricate, collectible car. Definitely not a toy. In fact, I actually lost the roof for the day that I shot this. But don't worry, we found it afterwards, just in case James Bond needs to drive somewhere in the rain. Now, one of the cool things here is that this car isn't just guns and all of the flashy stuff from the movies. It also has the engine. And it weighs a ton. This thing is built like a brick, except for that mirror that was shot off. But don't worry, those guys got what was coming to them. This thing also has wheels that steer back and forth with the steering wheel, and it runs on premium. Premium awesome sauce. It also has rubber tires and this thing, so you can shred enemy chariots Ben-Hur style. And I love that it steers. It's such an accurate representation of the James Bond, and you can usually see this car sitting on the shelf in the background of any classic Game Room Intergalactic Space Arcade studio shots. Because it's just that cool. The Danbury Mint 1/24th scale 1964 James Bond 007 Aston Martin DB5. Anyway, Kit versus the DB5, I'm going to go with Murray the Talking El Camino.
Recognize the admission of Finland and Sweden to NATO, because we all know that, looking from an historical perspective, NATO members have brought their national issues to the...
A lot more. The 2005 Chevrolet Corvette C6 in Chevy speak is completely reworked from the ground up. But that doesn't mean an altogether new formula for success. Like its C5 predecessor, the C6 is built on a hydroformed steel frame with an aluminum cockpit structure and composite floor panels. But the new chassis is both stiffer and lighter and longer, with 1.2 inches of added wheelbase. The suspension, a double wishbone design with composite leaf springs, is also a familiar design, but every piece is new with more wheel travel. In addition to the base package, suspension choices include our test car's magnetic selective ride control and the more aggressive Z51 package. The C6 is clad in an all-new body that is actually 5.1 inches shorter than before. The skin is still fiberglass, but with a leaner, more sophisticated look, especially in the nose with its fixed xenon high-intensity headlights, the first exposed lights on a Vette since 1962. And out back, where a leaner, more sculpted tail flows down to beefy quad exhaust tips. As one staffer put it, they finally got the rear end right. Wheels are 18 inches up front, 19 inches in the rear, and wear Goodyear Eagle run-flat tires with tire pressure monitoring. All 2005 Corvette coupes feature a removable roof panel for open-air motoring. But if you're a dedicated soft-top fan, there's the Corvette Convertible. It offers a choice of manual or power tops, both of which fold away beneath a hard tonneau cover. The Vette is powered by the new 6-liter LS2 version of Chevy's small-block pushrod V8 engine. Its 400 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque were achieved by revamping everything from intake to clutch and bolting on either Tremec's new T56 6-speed manual transmission or GM's latest Hydra-Matic 4-speed automatic. Both are rear-mounted and drive beefy Getrag axles. Hit the gas hard and you will light up the tires. A careful balance of clutch and accelerator is required for a clean launch. Get it right and a 0 to 60 time of 4.8 seconds becomes routine, and 13.2 seconds at 112 miles per hour is a sterling quarter mile. Once off the line, the bored-out V8 delivers gobs of torque all across the rev band. The tranny's ratios are also perfectly matched to engine output with shorter, easier throws than before. While the chassis and suspension are well suited to any corner you choose to attack, the new Vette flows through turns with less of the point-and-shoot feel of its predecessors. It rewards a smooth touch on throttle and steering, only pushing the front or breaking loose out back if your transitions are too abrupt. The speed-sensitive magnetic rack and pinion steering lacks feel compared to less exotic designs, but is quicker and more responsive if a little nervous. Still, the overall feel is remarkably neutral with less roll than the C5. Both the magnetic ride control and the standard stability system are seamless in operation and, more importantly, not intrusive. Braking is by way of big disc all around with standard ABS and new cooling ducts. They pull the C6 down from 60 in an average of 120 feet. Like the steering, the brakes lack feedback but are very progressive, and stability is top-notch. It rides well too. Even when set in sport mode, the ride is firm but without the harshness over broken pavement of earlier versions. And there are no squeaks and rattles in our very early production car. You pop inside the new Corvette by squeezing an electric door latch. This opens up a dual cockpit interior that will surprise longtime Vette owners with its high-quality trim and excellent fit and finish. Finally! The comfy body-hugging sports seats with adjustable side bolsters and back support are superior to any Corvette seats before. But many will also be surprised by new additions like seat heaters, push-button start with proximity key, a head-up display with 3 modes, 1 for the street and 2 for the track, and big-screen DVD navigation. The coupe's cargo space remains healthy at 22.4 cubic feet, encouraging you to hit the highway and burn some gas. Which is not as irresponsible as it sounds. EPA mileage estimates for the 2005 Corvette are 19 city and 28 highway with the manual transmission. Expect to find 23 miles per gallon on a mixed driving loop. And the pricing numbers are just as appealing. The Corvette Coupe carries a base price of $44,245. That's $390 less than last year. The Corvette Convertible goes for $52,245, an increase of only $610. With a lot more of everything from performance to comfort, the 2005 Chevrolet Corvette now offers not only speed, style, and refinement, but even more thrills, chills, and high-end sports car value than ever before. While each generation Corvette has been a huge improvement over the one before, the new C6 really is the Vette we've all been hoping for.
Far below the global average. So this sense of unfairness.
Platform of the alliance whenever any particular topic came to the agenda.
Let's to thank one of our sponsors, Farmers Insurance.
I've seen this movie before.
You have?
Sure. This is the part where all is lost and the hero searches for hope. Then a mysterious figure reminds her that she has the Farmer's Home Policy Perk guaranteed replacement cost, and that her home will be rebuilt regardless of her limits or if the cost of materials has gone up.
That's really something.
Get a whole lot of something with Farmer's Policy Perks. Wait, I didn't ruin the ending, did I?
Yeah, you did.
We are farmers, bum 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 bum.